prices at the pumps drop on the prairies. What's behind the decrease and how long will they last? A man goes on trial accused of killing his girlfriend. How he pleaded in court. And the new tool police have to better investigate gun crimes.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the prices at the pumps. Drivers in Saskatchewan have seen a drop in recent days, the lowest they've been in months. Hallie Mandrick on what to expect in the coming weeks.
The price of gas in Saskatchewan has many residents breathing a sigh of relief.
We've gone away from summer blend gasoline to winter blend gasoline. That's a savings of about 9 or 10 cents a litre. And that's one of the main reasons why we've seen prices drop. The Canadian dollar has strengthened a tiny bit until very recently where it's weakened again.
This combination of factors has gas prices sitting as low as $1.08 per litre in Saskatoon and $1.17 in Regina, according to GasBuddy.com. For those who spoke with CTV, the drop in price was a pleasant surprise.
I have to fill up when we need because you have kids in 7 different activities, but do try and save money where we can.
Well, I filled up just the day before that the prices went down. So I'm sitting here with a full tank of gas.
We need to fill up the tank right away, and yeah, if knowing that it's cheap prices, might as well do it now.
It's not going to make a difference. If I pay attention to it, it's not going to make it go lower, and it's not going to make it go higher. But I have to have gas, and so I just pay it.
McTagg says prices are likely to increase later in the week due to a production issue in the United States last Friday.
In the Chicago refinery area where BP's Whitting plant had a fire, and that set gasoline futures up about 20 cents a gallon, good for about an 8 cent a litre increase. So we haven't seen that baked into the price yet. We may very well get that if things don't turn around quickly.
McTagg also shared some advice for folks looking to save on their fuel, regardless of the time of year.
In many cities across Canada, the best deals are in the evening after 6 p.m. That's because gas stations often make enough money to cover their costs for the day, so they shed those retail margins.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A Saskatoon murder trial began today for a man accused of killing his girlfriend. CTV's Laura Woodward now on the first witness to take the stand.
The trial for a man accused of killing his girlfriend began at Saskatoon's Court of King's Bench. 28-year-old Andrew Rosenfeld pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder in the death of 20-year-old Nakira Brown. On November 15, 2022, Constable Brett Friesen responded to a 911 call reporting a woman who had been shot inside a unit on Avenue P South. Inside, Friesen found Brown lying on the floor of a dark room. He testified that blood had pooled around her head, calling it a very gruesome scene. The judge warned the gallery before photos were shown. Brown's family stayed holding each other as the disturbing images appeared. Friesen testified that Rosenfeld told him that they were victims of a home invasion. He said 2 people broke in, he heard a loud boom, and saw them running away. Inside the courtroom, Rosenfeld sat in the prisoner's box, clean-shaven, wearing glasses and a graphic T-shirt. His mother sat in the gallery alongside Brown's family, who wore purple sweatshirts in her memory. The trial is scheduled to continue on Tuesday. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
To Regina now, where a trial nearly 2 decades in the making has also started. A 19-year-old attending a graduation party in 2006 was killed. For years, the circumstances surrounding his death were a mystery. But as Sierra D'Souza Butts reports, it's hoped the answers will come from court.
The month-long trial of a man accused of second-degree murder of Misha Pavlik is now underway at the Court of King's Bench here in Regina. Pavlik was 19 years old when he was fatally stabbed during a graduation party near Last Mountain Lake in spring of 2006. The man now accused of second-degree murder in connection with Pavlik's death cannot be identified, as he was a youth at the time of the crime. After selecting 14 jury members in the morning, 2 of which will be excused before deliberations begin, the Crown presented its opening statement, sharing what the jury can expect to hear from witnesses over the next few weeks. The Crown telling members Pavlik Pavlik was at a party with around 200 people in attendance when a group of individuals showed up, including the accused, saying it believes the jury will come to learn the group was not invited to the party and their arrival changed the mood of the event, leading to multiple fights that allegedly happened that night, which witnesses will speak on in addition to evidence presented in court, adding the Crown's opening remarks are not evidence of the case itself. Over the course of the 4-week trial, jurors will hear from as many as 47 witnesses. The second day of trial will start with the defense's opening statement. Witnesses are expected to take the stand shortly after here at Court of King's Bench. Sierra D'Souza Butts, CTV News, Regina.
The province is celebrating the opening of its new gun lab. As Keenan Sorokon reports, it's expected to have a rapid impact on police investigations.
The Saskatchewan Ballistics Laboratory has all the latest technology to become the home of gun testing for all law enforcement agencies in Saskatchewan. Rather than sending guns to be analyzed in RCMP facilities in Surrey and Ottawa and waiting weeks or months for updates, officers in Saskatchewan are sending guns here, and they're getting detailed results in hours.
You can bring a firearm in, get it analyzed, get it into the hands of investigators so that we're not talking day turnaround, we need to be talking hour turnaround to have a significant impact.
Minister Tim McLeod says the speed at which investigators can work and share information will also see charges laid sooner and have criminals in front of a judge earlier.
To have that information available within days rather than months is a significant advantage to the timeline on the prosecution.
From a water tank to a specially designed gun range, investigators can fire a number of weapons and safely capture the bullets and casings. Microscopes and the latest software can take those casings and guns and quickly share results with police across the world.
We can turn around and say, well, this casing, that firearm was used in an incident last week or last month.
Freeburg says weeks after the lab opened, a gun turned in by Saskatoon police was traced back to Atlanta. The lab helped recover the serial number, and working alongside the ATF in the United States, officers found the owner of the gun without having any leads beforehand.
This is a made-for-Saskatchewan product that helps law enforcement across this province, full stop.
As testing wait times plummet, the latest police tool for public safety is expanding, with plans to encompass the entire province by early next year. Keenan Sorokon, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Well, Jeff, I think a lot of people are looking forward to your forecast in a few days. Right?
A few days. Tomorrow still on the unsettled side. Today was a gray, misty, cold day. Prince Albert had to deal with some snow earlier this morning, but that had a lot to do with this system that is slowly making its way out of Saskatchewan, and so the core of it is anchored down around Minnesota, but it's still impacting Manitoba and parts of Ontario. But ultimately, that system will move out. But another one's coming in. It's not a big system, but it will still continue with some precipitation, and temperatures are still going to be on the cool side. We'll talk about that later on.
The government of Saskatchewan is unveiling its plans to power the province into the future. Today, Minister responsible for SaskPower, Jeremy Harrison, spoke about the Saskatchewan First Energy Security Strategy and Supply Plan. It includes extending the life of coal-fired power plants to bridge the transition to nuclear power. In 2016, the federal government passed regulations requiring all coal-fired power plants to be closed down after 50 years of use or by 2030. Harrison says the province plans to rebuild coal power plants to run up to 2050, with work on Boundary Dam 4 already underway. The move has faced backlash from the Saskatchewan Environmental Society, which says coal is a large contributor to climate change. But Harrison says the province won't apologize for using coal.
This is what makes sense. We've been doing coal here in Saskatchewan for 100 years. Why would we spend $10 billion on gas plants? We would be importing gas from outside of Saskatchewan, by the way.
Harrison also spoke about a $700 million plan to connect Saskatchewan's northern and southern power grids from E.B. Campbell in Nipawin up to Island Falls. The NDP is sharing a 5-point plan it believes will help address the addictions crisis. NDP MLA Betty Nippy Albright says on average someone dies of drug poisoning almost every day. The plan includes increasing funding for harm reduction and inpatient treatment beds, increasing detox services, funding sober living homes with wraparound services, focusing on recruiting and retaining addictions and mental health workers, and ensuring involuntary treatment is only used as a last resort for those who pose a serious risk to to themselves or the public.
These are people's mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, and grandparents who are dying. We need action and real investments now.
CTV News has reached out to the provincial government for comment. The province has previously announced plans to add 500 addictions treatment spaces in Saskatchewan, with most expected to be ready next year. Prince Albert has a new pastime. A game often played outdoors on lawns has made its way indoors with a league of its own in the city. And as Jasmine Pelche reports, it's proving to be popular.
A few years ago, Joe Bexon was bit by the cornhole bug.
Well, I've been playing for a little over 2 years, along with some of my family members. So we've been traveling to Regina and Saskatoon to their leagues to play.
Before September, Prince Albert's avid cornhole players needed to go out of town to play tournaments. Bexon decided to take matters into his own hands and founded the Boreal Cornhole League, which is now active in Prince Albert's city limits. The league first got together in the Legion basement on the last Thursday of September and has met every Thursday since.
Between 25 and 30 players each night, and we're open to all ages, so we've had 12-year-olds right up to seniors.
Bexon's 15-year-old granddaughter Taya is one of the younger members, and she's happy to have a league close to home.
It's more playing time for me, less traveling to like Saskatoon or Regina, so it's been useful to play here.
She thinks cornhole is a good way to meet new people.
Just the people are really nice. They're really easy to talk to. It's a good community.
In cornhole, points are scored by throwing beanbags at a board across the room. Landing a bag on the board is worth 1 point, and a beanbag that goes through the target at the top of the board is worth 3.
There's a core group that are consistent in coming out, but we've also got a number of new players showing up each week, and as the word spreads, more people get interested.
Bexon shared that the Regina Cornhole chapter helped the Boreal Cornhole League get up and running. Jasmine Pelche, CTV News, Prince Albert.
A yearly tradition at a local high school drew volleyball talent from across the province. Mount Royal Collegiate's 38th Mustang Volley saw senior teams compete in both the tournament and a spike skills competition. The 3-day volleyball tournament is possible thanks to staff and students who volunteer their time.
It's very crazy. Some games are like very close, some are like frustrating, but overall it's fun. Everyone's enjoying themselves, even the people in the crowds.
The tournament wrapped up Saturday evening with Saskatoon's Holy Cross taking the win in the boys division and Saskatoon's St. Joseph girls winning in their division. Volunteers with St. John Ambulance were recognized for their medical services provided during Saskatchewan's challenging wildfire season. An investiture ceremony was held in Regina honoring paramedics and therapy dogs for their assistance with first aid and emergency responses. More than 30 people were recognized for their efforts. Organizers say the volunteers provided comfort and compassion to wildfire evacuees, helping those most in need.
It's a day that allows us to thank everyone, invest them as members of the order, provide thank yous to everyone who's done extraordinary service. We've got life-saving awards for individuals of the public who have saved lives, and we've got therapy dogs, a little bit of everything.
St. John Ambulance has 300 community service volunteers in Saskatchewan who deliver about 30,000 hours annually in response services. Still to come, the internet outage that impacted millions. Also, the new resources announced to protect Canadians from money laundering and fraud. You're watching CTV News live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us. Next month's federal budget is expected to include plans for a new financial crimes unit to investigate money laundering and fraud. Mike Lukacher on how it takes aim at criminals in an effort to protect Canadians.
According to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, financial scams cost people in this country $643 million last year. It's why, after 5 years of promising to tackle the problem, the Liberals are finally acting.
Budget 2025 will introduce Canada's first ever national anti-fraud strategy.
The strategy is also coming with a new agency that will target money laundering and online fraud. Canada plans to collaborate with other countries to target those transnational crimes.
We're talking to the FBI. We're going to talk to the financial crime unit in the UK. But, you know, my aim is to go after organized crime, is to go after those who scam and defraud Canadians.
There's no doubt that it's really late in the game.
Cybersecurity experts point out the Liberal government promised a financial crimes agency 5 years ago. And they say this multilateral collaboration with other countries is key to catching these types of criminals.
There's a culture of cooperation that needs to be built within our regulatory institutions, within our law enforcement, and within the financial system.
That's partly why the government will amend the Bank Act to require express consent from account holders before enabling services like e-transfers. They'll also require banks to have policies and procedures to detect consumer-focused fraud. The Canadian Bankers Association is on board and applauds the move to have a central financial crimes agency.
There's a lot of skills that involved, you know, the white collar, the movement of money, the complexities. And so having people that can be focused on that would be critical.
This is one of the many pre-budget announcements the government is making leading up to November 4th. And today, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre called on the Prime Minister to keep the deficit under $42 billion, something Mark Carney has already signaled will not happen. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
As the federal government faces criticism for exempting more U.S. and Chinese aluminum and steel imports from retaliatory tariffs, there are some signals there could be movement on steel and aluminum tariffs this week. Abigail Beeman on what's in the works and what it means to the industry.
Signs of a potential deal are strong enough for the head of the Business Council of Canada to comment publicly.
There's reason to be cautiously optimistic that we're working towards some sectoral agreements on aluminum and steel and energy, more specifically. There's still work to do. We're optimistic that if they can get it to the finish line this week, something can be announced.
Maybe a reduction or a quota, but Goldie Hyder says we won't live in a tariff-free world.
This is not about China, it's about Canada.
Meanwhile, the finance minister is defending new counter-tariff exemptions for Canadian companies bringing in steel and aluminum from the U.S. and China.
So you're talking about a very small group of very specific products that needed to enter Canada to maintain the supply chain.
While the Canadian Steel Producers Association criticizes the exemptions for being too broad, Keenan Loomis represents Canadian steel fabricators and says the decision to exempt I-beams specifically is critical to about 500 Canadian businesses that work with the U.S.
This is really, really impactful when it comes to projects where my guys are working on American projects and bringing in the steel, engineering it, fabricating it here in our shops here in Canada, and then sending it back to the U.S.
The focus now, whether there will be a sectoral deal announced this week or during the Prime Minister's upcoming trip to Asia, where both he and the American president are expected to attend the APEC summit. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
In the Middle East, the Red Cross received the body of another hostage from Hamas today and transferred it to the Israeli military. In Gaza, humanitarian aid restarted today. Both sides have recommitted to the U.S. ceasefire plan following violence on the weekend. At least 28 people died as Israeli forces launched a wave of strikes, saying Hamas had killed 2 soldiers. Today, medics said 3 more people had been killed by Israeli tank fire. Israel says militants crossed the yellow line that marks the area where its soldiers are stationed. Residents report confusion over the line's location due to a lack of a visible boundary. U.S. envoys are in Israel beginning talks with officials and a visit scheduled before the latest violence. In Ottawa, the Royal Canadian Legion presented the ceremonial first poppy to the Governor-General today.
To all the veterans, to all members of Canada and the United Nations peacekeeping forces, To all serving members of Canada's military forces, we thank you. It is with reverence and gratitude that I accept the first poppy.
The traditional event represents the ceremonial start to the remembrance period and announces the coming National Poppy Campaign. It begins annually on the last Friday in October, and poppies will be available to the public beginning October 31st this year. The Legion says funds donated locally during the campaign are distributed locally to help support veterans and their families and to promote remembrance. The Louvre remained closed this morning following Sunday's brazen robbery that made headlines around the world. Some are describing it as the heist of the century. It happened early Sunday morning when visitors were inside the building. 4 thieves used a basket lift to get into the museum. Reports say they were carrying small chainsaws and escaped on a scooter. They reportedly got away with 9 priceless jewels from the collection of Napoleon and his empress. According to authorities, an emerald-set imperial crown containing more than 1,000 diamonds was later found dropped and broken outside of the museum. Officials say the theft took less than 7 minutes. It's a do-or-die night for the Jays in their quest for the American League Championship, and Jays mania has spread far beyond Toronto with the hopes of a nation firmly behind the team. CTV's Adrian Gabriel now on the excitement and anxiety across the country.
When the Northern Lights are their brightest, this baseball team has brought a nation to its collective feet. It's been 32 years since Joe Carter touched them all, a decade since Batista's blast. Though this current iteration of the Toronto Blue Jays has fans flying high once again, prompting some to hop a flight for the big game, with one pilot even sketching the Blue Jays logo with his flight path over Nova Scotia.
You got a diamond, you got 9 men.
Canadian rock stars have been strumming along this postseason to the Blue Jays anthem.
You got them to spring till fall.
In Victoria, fans caught the ferry to games 3, 4, and 5 in Seattle.
There's only 30 teams in the MLB, and Canada only has one of them, but it only takes one to win.
Lifelong Expos fans are even pulling for Vladdy Sr.'s son, taking the trip from Montreal.
We're going against that.
This postseason run has brought families and Canadians together and given rise to the next generation of Blue Jays Nation.
We're very excited. Let's go, Blue Jays!
It might be fall in Canada, but hope does spring eternal across the country this October with one common goal, one common purpose.
Okay, Blue Jays, let's play ball.
And play ball they will tonight. The 2 most intense words in sports, Game 7. The hopes of a nation hangs on each pitch, on every swing of the bat. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
I'm Tanner Byrne on behalf of the PBR Saskatoon Classic, presented by Redhead Equipment and Case IH. Here to invite you guys all out Friday and Saturday night, 7 p.m. SaskTel Center for some professional bow ride and get ready for some family fun-filled rock and roll field action. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.ca. As my friend John Crimmer once said, there's 90 points in the forecast. We know that. But Jeff, what's that weather looking like?
Well, Tanner, things are actually looking pretty nice. So inclement weather will not keep people away from SaskTel Center for the Saskatoon Classic on Friday and Saturday. We're going to concentrate on Friday. Of course, 7:30, 7 o'clock start time at SaskTel Center. 13 degrees for a daytime high. That's about 3 degrees above seasonal. Mainly cloudy skies. And once again, for more information, you can go to sasktelcenter.com. All right, let's take a look and see what our numbers are like in terms of our temperatures right now. 5 degrees in Saskatoon, 3 in Prince Albert, and 4 in the Battlefords, and as you can see, moderate winds right now. And the almanac for Saskatoon, well, it wasn't a warm day. We know that. Just 6 degrees today, so 4 degrees below seasonal. 22, though, that was the record temperature in 1974 on this, the 20th of October, minus 17. That was back in 1951. The sun came up at 7:40. It went down a little after 6.
Well, coming up, celebrating a successful football season, how Saskatchewan teams are performing well under pressure.
Jasmine is coming to Saskatchewan Tuesday on Your Morning. We'll check in with the Canadian singer, songwriter, dancer, and choreographer to hear what to expect at his shows on the prairies.
All right, welcome back. And ooh, well, we've gotten to the point in the year where there's no more slashes of orange along the horizon. It's dark out there right now, and you can certainly see some clouds out there. We don't anticipate much in the way of precipitation, but that's just how things are shaping up. Let's take a look at our satellite and radar shot here. We've got ourselves that low-pressure area that's sort of anchored down in the Dakotas and Minnesota. That's continuing to move off in the Ontario area, but on the backhand side, still bringing some precipitation to parts of eastern Saskatchewan, and we're keeping our eye on this other system that's out in Alberta right now, but it is coming our way. 5 degrees right now in Saskatoon, 3 in Prince Albert and the Battlefords. And on to Estevan, where it's 10 degrees. Weyburn, -6. Those are the hot and cold spots today. 4 degrees in Lloydminster and Swift Current and Regina, 2 in Yorkton, 3 in Estevan. And as you see in our central part of the province, temperatures don't really range all that much, just about a 3-degree range here from 2 to 5 degrees. Up north, a little cooler. 0 in Collins Bay and South End, 4 degrees right now in Buffalo Narrows. Down south, well, we've got ourselves 6 degrees in Maple Creek, but that's as hot as it gets on this part of the map. The coldest it gets is Broadview at just 1 degree. On to our futurecast. So this is what I was talking about earlier on. There is that system that sort of develops in Alberta and slides across into Saskatchewan in that north-south line. We don't anticipate a lot in the way of accumulation, but we're expecting it to be showing up in the form of snow up north, or at least a rain-snow mix, and that's true for Stony Rapids and Key Lake. 3 degrees for those two communities, 8 for La Ronge, 9 for Buffalo Narrows, so warming up in some places, and that includes Meadow Lake, Kindersley, and Rosetown, where temperatures will be in the double digits. 8 degrees for Spiritwood. Temperatures around 12 degrees for southwestern Saskatchewan under mainly cloudy skies, staying cloudy or mainly cloudy for the southeast, but a little cooler. 10 in Moose Jaw, but 8 degrees in Estevan and Regina, 6 in Yorkton tomorrow for a daytime high. The same temperature for Melfort, Humboldt, and Hudson Bay. 8 degrees, though, in Watrous. On to the Battlefords. Slight chance of showers, -3. 11 degrees with mainly cloudy conditions. 11 on Wednesday with sunny skies, staying pretty much there right up until Saturday, but does get up to 13. Then cooling off a bit on Sunday, Monday, 7 degrees with a chance of showers. Prince Albert, a slight chance of showers, some fog patches developing, -2 overnight. Tomorrow's high, just 7 degrees, 9 on Wednesday, double-digit temperatures on Thursday and Friday, warming up to 14 on Saturday, 10 on Sunday. That's still slightly above seasonal for Prince Albert, and 8 degrees to start the work week with a chance of showers. Saskatoon, a slight chance of showers with some fog patches developing. Those will dissipate tomorrow. 9 tomorrow, though, with a chance of some shower activity. And then we've got ourselves 11 degrees on Wednesday, warming up to 13 on Thursday and Friday, 15 on Saturday, 11 on Sunday, and Monday, 7 degrees with a 40% chance of showers. Horror sequel Black Phone 2 smashed the competition at the box office this weekend with $26.5 million US in ticket sales across North America. Meanwhile, Tron Ares added another $11.1 million to its lower than expected box office performance. And the supernatural comedy, which I highly endorse, Good Fortune, directed by and starring Aziz Ansari, debuted in third with $6.2 million. Keanu Reeves and Seth Rogen are hilarious. And as well, this vintage T-shirt recently worn by Taylor Swift has created a new fundraising opportunity for an aquarium in California. Swift wore the shirt during her Life of a Showgirl album release movie. When fans spotted the shirt, they started messaging the Monterey Bay Aquarium to buy one. Turns out the shirt hasn't been printed since the 1990s, so the museum tracked down the original design and has launched a limited run of the shirt for a minimum $65 US donation. All the proceeds will support the aquarium's Sea Otter program and other ocean conservation work.
Tell us what line of dialogue lives in your head rent-free.
I know. She's my friend and she's crazy. She's our friend and she's crazy.
The entire main cast of the Stranger Things series recently sat down with Time to reflect on nearly a decade of the hit show. 4 episodes will be released starting November 26th for the 5th and final season.
All right, Jeff, what do you have for us for Pick of the Day today?
We have a triple hit here, as per usual. No bonus ones yet today. We have this from James. He says, hey, Jeff, looks like a few of our marigolds and geraniums out back are still blooming despite the cold nights. Now, this one was sent to us late last week, but still, we've had some cold nights, and I know some of the flowers are still out there being nice and hardy. So thank you, James. Doris sends us this one. Hi, this picture was taken on one of the trails at Beaver Creek Conservation Area on Saturday afternoon. We fed the chickadees out of our hands. There you go. Dr. Doolittle, good times. And finally from Randy, he doesn't tell us where he took this picture. I hope it's not AI, but he calls it Skinnysaurus Rex. So maybe down in Arizona, that seems to be a popular spot for Saskatchewan snowbirds. So thank you, Randy, for that picture. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to cfqcnews@ctv.ca.
Still to come on CTV News, team triumphs. The success Saskatchewan football is celebrating this season.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Saskatchewan, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
The Saskatoon Hilltops have punched their ticket to the conference finals.
Elias, now they hand it off, and it's David Collins again. He gets through a seam, and David Collins down to the 20. Could he take it all the way? Yes!
Hilltops running back David Collins rushed for over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Charles Sawi also ran for 104 yards and a pair of touchdowns as the Hilltops beat the Rifles 60-26. Collins was also among 7 Hilltops who were selected as conference all-stars this season. The Hilltops will travel to Regina this weekend for the conference championship to face the Thunder. Saskatoon and Regina split their 2 meetings this season, each team earning a 3-point victory. The conference championship goes Sunday afternoon in Regina. Hallie Mandrick now on the Hilltops and other football teams' successful seasons so far.
As football season is well underway in Saskatchewan, those involved in all levels of the game are reflecting on impressive seasons across the province.
It's just part of the culture here in the province, and we have such great coaches from the grassroots level all the way up to the junior and university level that, you know, it's a great place to play football, and we just outpunch our weight across the nation right here in the province.
Both university and junior teams have had strong seasons, with the Regina Thunder and Saskatoon Hilltops set to face off against one another for the Prairie Conference Championship on Sunday.
Yeah, that's what we anticipate. I mean, those are the 2 best teams in both those leagues. So, you know, bring it on. It'll be a great rivalry, great crowd, and, you know, let those teams duke it out on the field.
Recently named Prairie Conference MVP Peter Borsch credits the talent to strong minor football programs in Saskatchewan, citing that the community work higher-level teams do with their local minor organizations can have a big impact.
A lot of what they do, like we use the same field half the time at Libel, and so we owe it to the kids and their families and like RMF to just keep going and hang out with them and trying to give them the best experience they can so that they keep pursuing football.
The Saskatoon Valkyries also hold the title of reigning Western Women's Canadian Football League champions, and many involved with the team opt to spend their off-season inspiring the next generation of athletes.
I'm coaching right now some flag, and just like watching them kind of like pick up on those skills and pick up on those little things that you're like teaching them, and their excitement for playing and just being out there and enjoying time with like other like-minded people is really fun to see, and just like watch their confidence and skills grow.
It's a factor many athletes take into consideration when making decisions about their post-secondary football careers.
It's pretty cool to grow up in a province that's really into football and like really enjoys growing the sport.
For athletes like Gadet, there's a lot of motivation to stay in the province, which initially inspired their love of the game.
We grow such a huge brand here in Saskatchewan, and it helps guys make a decision quicker, right? Like guys understand that like we have great football programs out here in Saskatchewan, and we grow great football teams.
Hallie Mandrick, CTV News, Saskatoon.
When we come back, rising to the challenge in the WHL, the teams that are on top there, and later crowning the best Conker.
right, let's take a look and see what we've got going on for tomorrow. And it's a little better. You know, it's certainly warmer than today. Look at these double-digit temperatures for tomorrow for certain communities. That includes Meadow Lake, Lloydminster, and Kindersley. And then we start off to cool off. And these, the other temperatures I'm going to show you, they're a little below seasonal. 6 degrees for Hudson Bay and Wynyard and Melfort, 8 in Watrous and Spiritwood. And then we'll take a look down south where, yes, towards the western side of the province, it is warmer than it is on the eastern side, the central area, kind of around that seasonal mark. But Kenora, a chilly 5 degrees tomorrow, 7 are the expected daytime highs in both Broadview and Carlisle. Now, what about Duck Lake? Well, I'll tell you, that is our featured community, and Duck Lake is going to come in at 8 degrees tomorrow, so a bit on the cool side, and winds out of the southwest at 15. And Duck Lake, I can tell you that the seniors are hosting a court whist tournament and lunch that's coming up on Sunday, November 9th. And so you've got that to look forward to in Duck Lake. And Duck Lake is where internet plans of up to 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
The Saskatoon Blades and Prince Albert Raiders are both playing well early in the WHL season. The Blades were busy with 3 games in 3 nights, a home-and-home splitting wins with the Moose Jaw Warriors, then a 4-3 win at home on Sunday against Edmonton. That means the Blades are 9-3, first place in the Eastern Conference. Meanwhile, the Raiders have been less busy, but they've yet to lose a game in regulation this season. The Raiders lost in overtime on Saturday to the Edmonton Oil Kings, but with a 7-0-2 record, they sit 3rd in the East despite having the best win percentage. The Raiders are at home Friday against Swift Current, and the Blades on their U.S. road trip are in Everett on Friday. Now to a major internet outage that affected millions of users worldwide, disrupting some of the biggest apps and websites, including Snapchat and Reddit. It was all because of a problem with Amazon's cloud computing service, AWS. CTV's John Venevali-Rao reports.
For users of some web services, this was the message they got this morning. Unable to connect to popular sites like language learning platform Duolingo and social media giant Snapchat. An outage that the site Down Detector says affected more than 2,000 companies.
I had a bunch of interviews lined up this morning using Zoom, and I couldn't use Zoom while this outage was in the midst, so I had to flip to a plan B.
Some Delta and United Airlines passengers in the U.S. reported problems accessing their online reservations, while in the U.K. there were bank customers who couldn't log into their accounts. The issues all stemming from a problem with Amazon Web Services.
At AWS,
which is the world's largest provider of cloud computing services, which many businesses and governments rely on.
Because these individual companies are so large and have such a big share of the market, it does have this cascading impact where one system goes down, then another, and then suddenly half the internet is gone.
The outage was first reported at around 3 this morning Eastern Time. A few hours later, Amazon said it had narrowed down the source of the problem, though connection issues persisted. An outage that also affected Amazon's own service, along with Disney, McDonald's, and others. Since 2020, there's been several large internet disruptions. Experts say part of the problem is a growing dependence on a small number of global cloud services, and shows how fragile the backbone of the internet can be.
This is a clear sign that having a cloud infrastructure that is so monopolistic is problematic.
Meanwhile, experts say this appears to have been the result of a fault at a data center and nothing to suggest it was a cyber attack. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Tariffs are still holding back investment. Marilla Fernandez has more from a new survey that comes from the Bank of Canada.
The majority of Canadian goods sent to the U.S. are covered under CUSMA, so they're tariff-free. But clearly, tariffs are still a concern for business owners. In the Bank of Canada's latest survey, they say uncertainty remains their top worry. Companies are spending more on routine maintenance than growing their business, and about a third now expect Canada to hit a recession, and that's up from the last survey. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.26. West Texas Intermediate Crude is down a bit to 57.02. Western Canadian Select is down to 46.29. And the TSX shot up 307 points today to 30,416. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Turning to local gas prices now, the average price in Saskatoon is $1.13.5 a litre. The lowest price in town has dropped to $107.9. On Saskatchewan markets, Cameco finished the day at $120.53, and Nutrien was up 34 cents. Coming up, the secret to longevity in the service industry. Then conquering the game of Conker. We will explain.
Hey there, it's Derek Chesney here at the Saskatoon Crime Stoppers. This week on Crime Stoppers Unmasked, we're needing your assistance to identify 2 suspects that were involved in a brutal early morning armed robbery on the city's west side. On September 18th, 2025, at about 8:45 in the morning, a student was walking to school on the Blairmore Bikeway. He was approached by 2 individuals between Hart Road and the pedestrian overpass. The suspects demanded his property, and when he refused, one assaulted him, punching him repeatedly and cutting his face and head with a large hunting knife. After a brief struggle, the suspects fled. The injured student continued to school, where he reported the incident and received medical attention. The main suspect is described as a male, 15 to 18 years of age, with light brown skin, black curly hair, wearing a dark green or gray hoodie. The second suspect was described as a Caucasian male, 15 to 18 years of age, with blonde hair, and was wearing a red shirt. Do you have information about these suspects or information about any other crime? If so, please give us a call at 1-800-222-8477 or leave a tip online at SaskatoonCrimeStoppers.com. You can also check out our Instagram and our homepage for photos of the suspects and other active crimes within the city. We pay cash rewards of up to $2,000 for information that leads to an arrest. We don't want your name, we just want your assistance. Saskatoon Crime Stoppers, do your part to stop crime in our community.
Select Hair Service is brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Well, Italy's oldest barista is still serving espressos and has no plans to stop. This is Anna Posse. She is 100 years old and turns 101 next month.
Wow.
She's been working at a small bar in northeast of Turin for the past 65 years and has been working as a server even longer. She says the secret to her longevity is very simple. Keep a steady routine, have some good humor, and a nightly can of sparkling lemonade. And she keeps it on her bedside table. So
is it just lemonade?
That's what this says.
Maybe a little limoncello thrown in there?
I don't know. Maybe every once
It is
in a
Italy.
while. But there you go. Doesn't she look sweet?
Yes, she does. And if we could all be that active when we're 100 years old, that would be something to aim for.
65 years working there.
I know.
That's amazing.
Exactly. Hope she's gotten some raises.
I would hope so, and some good tips. Well, an interesting competition drew people from across North America to the East Coast. The 2025 North American Conker Championship was held in Nova Scotia. What is that, you ask? Well, the game involves 2 competitors who each have a chestnut that is on a string. The objective of the game is to break your opponent's conker. Organizers say it's fun for all ages with no experience required. 36 people took part in the competition, but Jeff, only one person could be the winner. That looks dangerous.
We are the champions, my friend.
Don't you think?
Well, it seems like the potential for that to whip around and take somebody's eye out is certainly there.
Hit him in the face. I don't know.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to be the one holding the...
Well, it's the next cornhole. That's what I predict.
Well, maybe.
Conker will be the next
It's an East Coast
cornhole.
thing, I hear. So maybe we have to bring it over.
Well, I lived out there for a while. I'm not real familiar with this one, so.
Yeah, well, me neither. But it's interesting. It's fun to watch, right?
It is. Tomorrow may be fun to take a look at this forecast because temperatures are going to warm up eventually. Tomorrow will be a bit cool around Saskatoon, chance of some showers. But then as we head towards Wednesday and beyond, things are really warming up.
Could be your new winter activity, Conker. Try it.
We'll try for something else.
Thanks for watching.